What is the planning strategy if I want to protect my assets from creditors, lawsuits, estate tax, or nursing home expenses?
This is a great question. Of course, as you can see, this is what I do all day long, so I love this stuff. I hope this is not too boring for you so far. So let's go over if you want to protect your assets from taxes, creditors, nursing home, all those other things besides probate, what do you need to do? One of the cartoons I found is that if you have an irrevocable trust, if you have a risk such as Medicaid, in California, we call it Medi-Cal, the big bad wolf is not going to blow down the house. You can see that the third pig says, don't worry, I made my house out of irrevocable trust, so it's strong to protect the assets within. So you may be wondering, okay, this is great, but what are irrevocable trusts? I know the term, I guess once you create it, you can change it, but there's so many different types out there. Give me some idea, Kimberly. So let me show you the next slide. So this is some of the examples of the irrevocable trust. This looks like an alphabet soup. We use these acronyms to be able to shorthand communication, but it can be very confusing for non-attorneys. So let's go through one by one briefly. So on the left-hand upper corner, the orange box, it talks about the estate tax saving. So you can see each one has a specific type of purpose. So for estate tax purposes, a lot of times we'll create, it's called the ILET, which is Irrevocable Life Insurance Trusts. We can also create GRAT and GRUT, which is the Grantor Retained Annuity Trust, and QPERS is Qualified Personal Residence Trust. And of course, we'll have a typo here, a gifting trust. That means that these are the different structures that we can prepare so that we can put assets in there. And upon the client's passing, the assets that are held in these various trusts are not going to be subject to the estate tax. On the right-hand side, in the gray box, is called the marital trusts. It's divided into QTIP, which is a qualified terminal interest trust, and also credit shelter trust, decedent's trust, spousal trust. These are set up typically in a joint trust situation so that when the first spouse passes away, we may want to preserve a certain assets to make sure it's asset protected against creditors. And that's why we would structure in a marital trust inside of a joint trust structure. If you look at the blue box below, you will see they're charitable trusts. These are for the clients who have charitable intents. Now, some of you have come to us and say, Kimberly, I really want to save money in taxes. What can I do as to charitable trusts? And I always tell our clients that if you're trying to save tax dollars by giving money to charities, you'll always end up with less money in your pocket. So for charitable planning to work, you have to want to give to charity first. And then you say, gee, I'm giving to charity anyway. But what can I do so I can do it in the most tax efficient way? And there are different structures. For example, charitable remainder trust, charitable lead trust. So these are the different structures that we can make sure the money goes to the charity and also provides, for example, the charitable remainder trust, the money goes to the charity, but you get the income during your lifetime, but upon your passing, whatever's left will go to the charity. You take a current income tax deduction, so there's a win-win situation for you from an income tax perspective. It minimizes your estate tax exposure, but also some of these money will go to the charity as well. So these are the different structure you can look at if you're charitably inclined. The last box is a yellow box, which is the Medi-Cal Disability Trust. So these are, for example, if you have a beneficiary who may be receiving public benefits, we want to make sure when the money that goes to that beneficiary is not going to be negatively impact their ability to receive public benefit. Also, the last one says MAPS. Is actually, this acronym is for Medi-Cal Asset Protection Trust. So this is the type of trust where we can plan for potential nursing home expenses or long-term care expenses by protecting what you have so that you can qualify for public benefit to be able to pay for nursing home expenses. So this is kind of a alphabet soup of various kinds of irrevocable trusts. This will give you some idea as to why we use these and specific purpose for it. So think of them as different tools in your tool belt. There's no one tool that can do everything, but revocable trust, which is your foundational planning, does a lot of it. These are all the extra advanced planning that will meet your specific purposes.